Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch some anime, and then we come back here and discuss it. And this week we're going to be discussing Dimension W episode 5 through 8. We've already done an episode on Dimension W, so if you haven't seen that or watched it or listened to it, go check it out. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman, on Spotify. You can watch there as well, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get podcasts, it'll be available. But we are talking about episode 5 through 8 today. And I did not watch it alone. Not only did I watch it, not only did the community watch it, Matt Galley, my co-host, watched Dimension W as well. Matt, how are you doing this week?
Doing good. I'm enjoying this show a lot. I'm excited to talk about it. And where the show, where we pick up versus where we leave off, I can't even believe we're watching the same show.
I I had the same feeling because every episode starts off a little weird. And I'm like, did I click the right anime? Everything like it always shows some new character I'm gonna meet, and then I'm just like, wait, what? What's happening here? Especially in these 4 episodes because it was pretty crazy. It just kind of goes on to the next little
Yeah.
little story there. Um, you said you're really enjoying it. I don't know if I'm enjoying it or if I don't like it, but I'm watching it. I don't know if
hmm
that makes sense because for some of these episodes, I didn't write down a whole lot because I was just watching. I was just like, I want to see what's happening, and I want to. And I think this is like the least that I've written 4 episodes because I'm just like, I don't know if it's engaged or just like confusion. I don't know what it is really. I don't know.
I will
So.
say that I kind of did the same with most of the episodes. I kind of have just let them play out in front of me, and I've had to kind of like go back and retroactively write my notes and all that. I've definitely had to, almost watch every episode back over again.
Yeah.
Um but like there's definitely a lot there that I wasn't catching initially, and I think because I went back to watch it again and, like, caught more stuff, like, it's making me like it more, but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily something that the average viewer should have to do in order to get all the information from the show,
Is it
and I feel like it is almost like, with coming here to talk about it every week, we kind of dive into the show a bit more ourselves usually, but I feel like it's not until I take the extra dive that I have been able to kind of wrap my brain around what's
gotcha.
going on.
I think it's fine because it's only a 12 episode show. And then people
Exactly.
are going to be like, "Oh, the bigger story kind of washes over the person and they take it as a whole whereas we are taking it in chunks and
Mhm.
we have to kind of dissect it." But I think the normal person is just going to be like, "Oh, whatever happens at the end, it's like, "Oh, I remember that remember that show because so and so happened. It had memorable characters, had the two main characters that I really liked or something like that." Um
Yes.
so we talk about anime here on the show, and this week we talk about Dimension W, but we talked about quite a few in the past. And here's the rankings. And I was going to ask you, this is the rankings that we've had in the past. On the left is me, on the right is Matt.
Mhm.
uh, eh, I don't know. I want to find your S. And is this gearing up to be up there if they stick the landing next week?
It's up there. I
Don't
don't
No
wanna
spoilers.
it's yeah, it's up there. It's giving itself a really strong showing so far, but it'd be something very very spectacular that they'd have to pull off in this last set of episodes for it to land up there
Cool.
because yeah, like I said, it has me entertained just because there's a lot of stuff going on. It's always like an intriguing situation. The characters are cool, so I just want to see what the characters are doing
Yeah.
in the situations. So it's easy to watch. It's very easy to watch. But again, regarding all the information and stuff that it's like trying to throw at the viewer, I feel like it is a bit overwhelming if you're just like for episode 4 and 5, if I hadn't gone back to like kind of break it apart, I would not understand at all what's going on
I'm
with this
yeah.
horror mini plot. It
I'm gonna
really took
need
a
you
lot for me
to
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 yeah.
break it down here because I don't know if I knew what was going on there. But if you would like to suggest an anime, you can as well. We have an anime chest of amazingness, of awesomeness here. And those are the anime that we have to pick. And next week already, we're going to pick another one. So if you would like to suggest an anime, it's 500 bits for the Twitch chat. If you're watching live on Twitch, twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman. Live, if you're watching it, you can submit 500 bits and submit an anime. And if it's not like hentai or anything, we'll add it on there. You see, some of those are, a lot of those are user submitted. Some of those are mine. Some of those are Matt's. And that's for next week. Next week, we're already going to pick at the end because
Another one.
we finished
Yeah.
Dimension W. So let's dive into the actual shows, what we watched, and let's talk about it. So episode 5, the possibilities of the death. Uh, Briefly
Oh,
summarize what
yeah.
happened because there was a lot here because it was the end of the mini arc.
hmm So this episode we kind of pick right back up with Mira being like chained up and stuff. The show goes on to show like Mabuchi and a bunch of the people in the manor being assaulted, being attacked by a bunch of like ghosts, these like bubbly ghost figures. And Mira is able to free herself via her perception and her strong willingness to just refuse the reality that's being presented to her. So she gets freed. While she's in that, you know, while she's in that state, she figures out where the numbers are, where Marissa is. The the show goes on to explain how the numbered coil is not only in the past, the numbered coil that they're looking for is not only in the past, but there are also divergent realities and potentials based on choices in the timeline that are
Uh,
leading to a crossover of realities that the coil itself is creating. One reality where I forgot to write his name down. Sakaki
yeah.
in the past, he was able to save everyone in the valley from the flood, and one where he died as he saved Enamori. And so basically over this episode it's been like the our actual reality and those two alternate realities have been like intersecting, and because Mira is a robot with like a coil interface, she's been able to interface across the reality, one of the realities with this coil, with this numbered coil. So um, basically, she's able to present like that information to the alternate versions of Sakaki, and his uh like his malicious forms become docile and are able to like pass on as she disables the coil. That's what I got from this episode.
And then it ends, and then we start a whole new thing. But um,
And
yeah,
the horror plot.
yeah. It wasn't so much horror. I really wanted it to lean more into horror this episode, but it
It
didn't,
didn't,
which
yeah.
was okay.
Yeah.
But the first one set it up really well. I was like a little tense. Episode 4 last week, I was like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen? Um, but yeah, and then it divulges into this whole thing. Again, like with these 12 episode shows, there's a lot of stuff that is there for a reason because they can't take up time just because, and it needs to happen to say something else. Um, and what I got from it, this whole like little story, was just to tell you and show you the power of the Dimension W, because his past self killed his present self, and this whole other timeline is where he saved his friends is merged on top of the one. So like it's showing you what Dimension W is capable of, and something that a lot of people have been underestimating.
Mhm.
Maybe New Tesla knows about it, I don't know yet, but Dimension W
That's
wild magic creates cracks in reality and possibilities, and
yes.
essentially a new world timeline superimposed on top of the main one. um
Um And yeah, the reason like Sakaki had brought and his sister Enamori had brought the coil there was like to so that way the dam could be like turned off, and they wouldn't have to deal with the dam anymore. So they brought people in, to check out the coil, and because money is money and people bend to the will of it, there was some foul play going on, and Enamori had to kill somebody in self-defense, and Sakaki thought to flood the valley in order to wash away the evidence, but she slipped and fell on the way to warn everybody else to leave. Nobody got warned. She got caught in the everybody got caught in
Flood.
him letting loose the dam. Yeah.
Yeah. CZ says it's building up the central focus of the anime. Pretty normal mid anime episode.
And to stack on top of what you were describing before with where the show's going with it, with Mira freeing herself, it was kind of like in a moment of where she was coming to the realization of like, well, if they kill me right here, I'm a robot. I can be remade and I'll just like boot right back up and start doing everything just like I was before. But is that gonna be me?
That's another question as well that I wanted to dive into. I want to stick with because I'll bring it up for sure, but I want to stick with the Dimension W stuff because that's kind of what hits home.
Hmm.
CZ says kind of leaves you questioning what can't the coils do now exactly.
Yeah.
So again, with an episode or a show that's 12 episodes long, they have to say something, and what they're saying is that this whole and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the stuff. I enjoyed that it was a little over my head to comprehend, really, because like yeah, it's big concepts that are difficult in general to comprehend, that there's another dimension. Also, honestly, just thinking about a dimension W, like there's another dimension that we haven't perceived that has this energy pool that we can pull from is so wild already, and now I have to take another leap, and I'm like my brain is like hurting a little bit, but that's okay because it is such a big concept.
Hmm.
um but as far as what you were talking about with the story of the flashbacks, I really enjoyed the story there. Like even though they had these huge ass concepts and they're trying to explain what's going on with his past self and this person, whatever, I really enjoyed the story that they were telling, and it was a really nice story, and I watched this one, and I was just, like, watching it, I was like, "Wow, this is cool," like, it was really well done to where I'm like, "Man, this sucks for the character." It made me feel for
Yeah.
the character,
Yeah.
that we just met a little while ago, and I was like, "Oh, man, this is crazy," giving some uh, humanness to him, making him have
Yeah.
feelings and stuff,
It
and showing.
shows the show's really good at like taking introducing these characters, and it's really good at being able to find a moment of context with them where you're able to really pick up on their motives, their personality, like what drives this
Yeah,
character, what they're after, and then what's been taken away from this character and
yep.
why that's affecting who they are now.
And giving them the reasons, yeah, giving the reasons why they're that way and being like, "This is it." And it's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, okay, I understand now." And it does it really well. I don't know that we've seen in these episodes, we're gonna see a lot of flashbacks. Do you enjoy just the instant flashback where it's like you don't really know, they don't tell you. I like that they don't take the time to tell you. They're like, "Boop, boop, boop, dream bubble,"
Yeah.
whatever. It's
It
just like,
makes you figure it out
yeah,
that,
it's just like,
like, first of all, that it is a flashback that you're watching, and
mhm.
then, like, yeah, what the context of the situation is. Because yeah, like you said, it does it a couple more times, and I do enjoy it. I think that it's really easy to slip up and, with flashbacks because they can become muddied, with the timeline of the plot in question, but like I said, it's really good at, like, there's so many moving parts to the show, that we've gotten to see in a little amount of time, and the show's good at like kind of like crossing them over, so to speak, like weaving it all over each other to
Mhm.
make the show something that's a bigger part than the sum of its parts, a
Yeah.
bigger greater than the
Uh,
sum of its parts.
Sure. I think because it's expanding the world out really well. In these five episodes, we've seen a lot of different characters. We know a lot about how the world works, how like the economy and how there's companies and all that stuff. Like they're building out and fleshing out the world really well, and every little thing is like making it bigger. Um, Especially this part of it because I do want to bring back the Mira having seeming to have the will to live, and us continuing the conversation about what makes her human and what makes her a possible robot, because she does not want to change at all, or she doesn't want to die. Dying is a
Near
huge
death
part.
experience,
Yeah,
basically.
dying is a huge part about being human. It's we're all gonna do it, and her not when we mostly don't want to die, and her not wanting to die brings her closer to the human side on the
Mhm.
scale. And here is like a big deal where it's like, oh man, she doesn't want to change, uh, but like she's a robot. But
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that they're bringing this up and pushing you again towards every single episode. It seems like they're pushing that question about what is she actually? Everybody's like intrigued by her tail. Nobody can understand what her tail is, because robots don't have tails, I guess.
Yeah.
And and in a later episode, we see like really instant, really short. There was like a ad on the screen somewhere in the back of a TV, and they said that people are only allowed to be robotic 60%,
60%, yeah.
and they're
And
trying to
that's kind of
overthrow that or
yeah.
something. The government's trying to overthrow that to be more of that. And I'm like, huh, what was that about? So they're continuing the conversation about what is Mira, and I don't know, what did Dr. Yurizaki create or
Yeah.
not, you know?
And they go, when she is getting another, like, she's getting, like, repaired at, Mary's or whatever, and the, like, little tech kid, I'm forgetting his name, but he's like, "Yeah, the"
Kabuki or something.
something like that. He explains how, the makeup of her brain is, the most baffling thing about her, and that it's almost impossible to understand. And she's like, "So basically, you're saying you give up?" She's
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
like, "I don't know what you want me to say, boss."
So it seems like episode 5 ended a sort of mini arc here,
Mhm.
like a 2 episode arc. And then we just ride into what's possibly going to be the larger arc of the show, with episode 6. So the Wind of Africa, everything gets tied up really nicely. Boom, bam. We're
Mhm.
leaving, and then now come
On to the next
into,
thing.
yeah, come into whoever the Wind of Africa is. So
Yeah,
what
even
happened in
even
this episode?
the title card, or, like, the mid show, like, buffer, I can't remember what it was, but something in the show, the vibe, like, changed color, and it changed marked with this episode.
Yeah.
And then I think it even throws, because you were saying something about the limits of Dimension W and something, it throws in a new opening little piece where
Oh, when the guy's talking?
it's been showing us, "Oh, we now have infinite energy," and it shows a different part of his speech now where he's talking about, "We are drawing the energy from Dimension W. That's not all Dimension W has. Let me make that clear." So it throws that bit in there
Yeah.
after that arc, which is interesting. It's the does it for a reason, like you said, they're
Mhm.
doing everything for a reason. Episode 6, it introduces us to a small cast of new characters, first of which being Salva to Betsy, CEO Robot Maker, and COO of Central Tower 60. Arriving in Japan, the prince seems there's a prince, Lawai, and Tibetsi is, a bit upset that Lawai is missing. Lawai is just kind of taken out to the streets of Japan, interested in the culture and being somewhere different. Mabuchi runs into Lawai after he departs a graveyard. Lawai becoming instantly attached to Mabuchi, recognizing him as a samurai. Uh, Mabuchi discovers Lawai to be a robot and makes a stop to see a tailor by the name of Tsubaki, to fix his robe that got a little messed up. We have another character. Pronunciation with some of these names. Lasthi,
Losty,
Lasthi.
Lasithi.
Um, so she stops in on Mabuchi to reclaim Lawai, because he has responsibilities to attend to, and Lawai departs with uh, Lasthi. I should pronounce these names before we go on. I should try saying them a couple times. Lawai is sent to destroy number 3 at Mary's, who is number 4, not number 3. Number 4 at Mary's,
Wait,
who is
wait,
known
wait.
for
You
being.
said number 3, and then
Mhm.
in the title of the picture, it's number 8, and then this is clearly number 4.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was gonna comment on that after we get out of here.
Uh-huh.
But Lawai is sent to destroy number 4 at Mary's, who is known for being like military grade, very difficult, like raid boss status.
Mm-hmm.
And Lawai strikes her down with basically one attack. Um, Tibetsi has a meeting with Claire Skyheart, another one of the COOs of one of the towers, that he is going to start a war to prevent a bigger war. So we hear that from this guy, and then we see just a small shot of like this girl out in the rain saying that like she's stuck, and then the episode just like ends.
I love that this is a huge setup here. This is just big setup. I didn't think we were gonna get some of the bigger plot points in this episode that we did, but we did, which is kind of cool. Like the whole Lowai uh killing number 4 and doing
Yeah,
all
that
that stuff.
just
So
was like that just came
yes.
out of nowhere.
I thought it was gonna be like a chill episode because we just ended a little arc and then like, okay, whatever, we're gonna meet a bunch of new characters, but that was really cool. Um I like that we have this bigger world that's happening. And I like that in the show, they don't take the time. Uh, it feels like we are just diving in the middle of something. They don't have the time to be like, hey guys, this is me. This is whatever. This is what I do or whatever. We don't got time for that. This world is moving. And I love whenever shows do that. Whenever it's like, these guys already have a past together. This whole thing's already happened. Now we're on to this next part of the story. You didn't see that part, but it did happen. The world's
And
living.
we have one moment where Mabuchi is like kind of curious where Lawai came from, and then he realizes, he's like, oh, you're the prince of, what's the title of the episode again?
Wind of Africa.
You're the prince of the wind of Africa or something like that. And so even Mabuchi, like once he realizes, he's like, oh, and he just like
Hmm.
recognizes it. So there's
Yeah.
recognition there already with our main character never having said anything about these people before too.
Yeah.
So that's how you know that they're just operating on a global scale for sure.
Exactly. Exactly like what CZ said as well. I'm loving that the show is involving international characters more and more, showing the scale of which this next arc is opening up to be. Bro, oh, I want to talk about the other people that they bring in the later episodes. But here we met the prince. Everybody loves him. Oh my god, he's so hot. The
Yeah,
prince
there's
of
like he gets off
the
and there's
winds
a
of
bunch
Africa.
of like girls like, oh my god, it's
Yeah.
the prince. And
But
yeah.
yeah, I love that. This is one of the episodes where I'm like, am I watching the right show? I was
Yep.
like, what's going on at the start? And I love that again when shows um when shows already have a history, when these characters when the world's already been living, the world's already done stuff, and they don't really take the time to tell you, but they do it well. They're doing it well here in this show. And I'm totally about it. Totally down for this. We meet bunch of characters, like you said, everybody coming over from Africa, super excited about being in Japan for the first time. I did not know Lawai was a robot. I was just like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then he gets all the fish.
Yep.
He breaks the pool,
And it's
and
just
there he
like,
goes.
oh.
Yeah.
And the dude running the game is like, you need to pay for this. And Loai's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Here you go. Here are my
Gives him
earrings and
gold.
my bracelets. And it's just like solid gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Great
Yeah,
character,
I love
and
that
is set up very
Mabuchi.
well.
Yeah, Mabuchi is just collecting kids. Somebody in the comments of Crunchyroll was like, "He just collecting kids, man." Every kid that comes across him, he's like, "Oh my god, so cool," and he just does not want to deal with it.
Not about it, especially
Yeah,
once he realizes that he's a robot. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Uh, but we also see him at a tailor,
Mhm.
Subaki,
Tsubaki.
and later on we have a flashback of Mabuchi and Subaki. I'm a little confused, and I don't know if you can answer this or somebody in the chat can answer it, but is Subaki Mabuchi's real sister, or is it the sister of his ex girl or his
Well,
girl?
they got married. Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sorry.
So
So
they're
she's
sister and brother by marriage.
okay. Cool. Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't I mean, it
They're
doesn't
not
really
by blood.
matter.
Yeah.
They are they did say they're connected and there's a strong bond, you can tell, but I didn't know if it was by blood or not because they're the
Mhm.
same age, and I was like, "Okay." And then later on we see yeah, and then I was like, "Wait a minute. Does that mean" okay. So, cool. Sister-in-law. Cool,
Mhm.
gotcha. I love her. She's great. I love that she's Mabuchi's counter there,
Mhm.
and she can stick up for herself against Mabuchi's
Mhm.
silliness, silly little mean streak he has.
I because she's known him since before he was a beast, I just feel like there's a different relationship playing out there for
Oh,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I love that they just touched on it. They didn't like um they what I like is that these characters are not out of place. I think in the last show that we watched, Future Diary, the characters had a way they carried themselves, and then they would say or do something that completely counteracted what their character said they would act like. And I was like, that's not how they would act. I know that's probably best for the story you want to tell, but everything you've said up until now, this character should not act this way. I
Exactly.
like that in this show, the characters are acting the way they would, and they're not adding anything more just because we have an audience watching. Them to having this little side thing and them like talking to each other in a certain way, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of love there. You're not really saying it. I felt that when Mabuchi is with Albert as well. Him and
Yep.
Albert have this thing being dogs of Grendel or whatever,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, okay, I feel that. I love that. And then later on, of course, we get flashbacks. So
Mhm.
like, and we get flashbacks of this stuff. I love that they can tell the story in flashbacks and they don't have to make the characters do anything against what their character traits are. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy their interaction. I really enjoyed that she fixed up his little coat, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cute!" Like I love it.
To before I forget to touch on what you were saying about Albert, he has a line in this set of episodes, I forget if it's in this one or the next one, um, where he mentions how he's always watching, he's always watching Mabuchi's back, and,
Oh
like,
yeah,
literally, that's all we've seen him do, save, like, maybe 2 times he's been on screen for the entire anime. The first episode, he's telling all the guys, "Nope, you don't gotta worry about this guy, just let him run off." Like, he's watching his back. He it's the one that set off the fire alarm so the water would wash out all of the bubbly ghosts while they're at
yeah,
the manor. He's watching his back. Right, uh up until he says it when he's like has like a rifle, and he's watching Mabuchi's back. Later on to see him doing that while they were
in
back in
Grendel,
their
yeah,
Beast and
the
Grendel
Easter
days. Yeah,
Island.
exactly. So yeah, it's a lot that
I
the
feel
show like, calls back to
yeah.
itself,
I think
and which
that's
is really
setting,
nice.
but I think that goes one deeper. That's even setting it up to where Albert's gonna die, and it's gonna be the worst because now I feel it.
Stop it.
I feel okay. My prediction is that Albert's gonna die and Mabuchi's gonna lose it because yeah, you're right. They do call back to that every time a lot, and I'm just like, oh, I love them together and all that stuff. So I. I that's what I'm feeling. It's too good to be true. Mabuchi cannot be happy. Is the main character here cannot be happy.
He was when he woke up, he's the first person that he talked to.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop.
There's the show
It's
literally like just
coming.
every moment it can use Albert for. It's like he was helping Mabuchi
And
out,
I love
watching
that.
his boys back.
Yeah, I love that. I stand. So yeah, those were we meet a lot of new characters. This is kind of just a big setup for what's to come because there's gonna be some kind of war, something's going on. Episode 7, the voice calling from the past. We get a lot of flashback in this one because, like you said in episode 6, we ended off with a girl being stuck behind a car, and we find out that it's somebody important. So what happens in episode 7, the voice calling from the past?
In episode 7, we meet Miyabi. Miyabi, who, after peering into Mabuchi's past, him in his high school days, we kind of discover and get to know their relationship with each other. Um, Basically, over the course of them dating, she gets a very deadly um, disease where, yeah, all the muscles in her body are gonna be like slowly degenerated over time, and she like has 5 years to live. Mabuchi not able to accept this, he goes running around to every like roboticist in the area, every surgeon, robotic surgeon, and pleads with them until he makes it to like the best in the country. And even after being pinned down, he's still able to plead like to, you know, please do something about my girlfriend. He gets offered basically to become
Oof.
part of a secret like military project, and that his girlfriend would have first priority to become one of the doctor's test subjects, and this doctor is like the best robotics doctor in the country. um he goes off on this mission, and right beforehand he proposes to Miyabi and they get married. um he comes back from the mission, only him and Albert made it back, and just to find out after waking up that she didn't make it through the surgery because there was a problem with a coil that led to her losing her head, which is
Oh.
crazy. So that's what he wakes up to. That's probably why he has a disdain for coils. We've jumped back to present day. Mabuchi asks Mira to go to Easter Island with him because it was when when Tibetsi was talking about starting a war, he sent out a claim for all collectors to go to Easter Island, which is where the Beasts of Grendel went to do the whole thing the last time.
The last mission.
Salva tells the new Tesla energy panel why he sent collectors to Easter Island, and he kind of informs them what's going on with that. And he takes this huge airship there with a bunch of these other collectors that are on payroll, basically. And a weird sphere of energy like shows up in front of the airship and downs the airship while it's on the way to Easter Island. Meanwhile, Mabuchi and Mira are en route to Easter Island with Albert flying them.
With a badass new car.
Hmm.
Sheesh. This was probably my favorite episode so far.
Really?
Um, I enjoyed it. I want to know more about Mabuchi. Um, I want to know more about his time with Grendel. I want to know more about this character. Him being so standoffish, I was like, made me want more. And that's probably the intention. And some people, it would put people off of the main character. But for this one, for this character, I was like, I need to know more. So the whole flashback of him and his girl, what's her name? Let's see,
Miyabi.
Miyabi Azumaya.
Yes.
Um, I love that. I love that they didn't say we were going into flashback, and we
Yeah.
just saw him in like a little letter jacket, and it was just like, oh,
I
here
was
we
like,
are.
is that him? Is
Yeah, is
that
that
him? I was
him?
like, I'm waiting for her to say his name. And then
They
she said
rocked
it,
up
and
in
I was
a
like, oh
yeah.
no.
See, you said they rocked up in a damn Lexus LFA, beautiful car. Bro, everybody in the comments was talking about the car because they'd switched cars. I was like, yes, that looks so dope. But I love this. I wanted more about his past, and we get like a half an episode about it. So we get the flashback to the love that they shared, the incurable disease, which gave her 5 years top. So he's like, well, let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's make the last years. And I feel that. Like I've never been in that situation, but like I understand it's tangible in this show full of the untangible possibilities or whatever. They still ground it with real human emotion, and they tell you what's happening, bringing it back to both what makes you human and bringing it back to the connections with the characters, which I'm really enjoying. I'm really enjoying that part of the show. Um, we also found out the person that did I don't know if we found out, but I found out because I didn't pay attention before, I guess. The person that founded the Grendels was Dr. Yurizaki, the dad, right? The dad of Mira? Was that it? I
Yes.
thought so because it was like
Yes.
this is be
With
founded by
all everything. Yeah, see?
this will be
It's just
founded
more
by
things.
her husband or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, isn't her husband Mira's
Yeah.
dad? I was like, wait a second. They didn't say his name,
Yeah.
but I was like, what does he want with all this stuff? So that was like an interesting little thing that, yeah, like if you didn't really pay attention or we didn't like catch that, they're like, well, you can join the Grendels, who is being headed by uh doctor whatever the doctor's husband. And I was like,
Mhm.
huh, what? So that's
I
going to be
think I
important.
caught that in the moment, but then it was overtaken by him saying, "Oh, your girlfriend can be a test subject." And I was just like, "Why? No,
Yeah,
that's not the phrase you want to hear.
but
That's not the
instantly,
phrase you want to hear."
sure, but instantly he doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Like, and he's put in this impossible situation where it's like, well, you have 5 years anyway, might as well
Yeah.
try it. And we've seen that with like real world science too. It's like, well, might as well try it out and see
Roll
if
the
it
dice.
works. And she got way too dank and lost a head. So somehow.
One thing about it that made it even more bittersweet and just like kind of like wrung my heart a little bit more was her whole thing with her camera. Because like she has this really old camera, and then she's like, I really like old things. Like it's just, it still works, yada yada yada. And it's just like, bro. And then she's fine living in this world, and then he goes out to try to fix things, coils get involved, and she loses her head. And
It's
that's just like a double whammy on him hating coils. Like not only did the coils do this to her, she was fine without their existence too. She just liked old things. Like
Yeah.
that's all she wanted to do.
I don't
Like
know why
that type of.
it's giving sort of cyberpunk
And the same thing Nobuchi likes old things,
edge
although he has certain reasons for it. See, it's I just sorry.
cyberpunk edge runners. It's giving a little cyberpunk edge runner for me as well. But in the same way Mabuchi likes old things, although he has different reasons for that. Yeah. I love that. But yeah, it was super telling, and it also gives you just an instant character trait that you can associate with her. Like super
Yep.
quick storytelling. This person loves this. Cool. This is great. I can already like
It's
see this kind of person.
surface level, super easy way to communicate it to the audience, but at the same time, it's giving, it's a easy way to have symbolism like inserted into this character as
And then
well.
it breaks, and then
Yeah.
they show instantly the next scene is her in the hospital, and it's like, oh my god, okay, cool. Um, so there's a lot more about this episode too.
Yes, so we
Um,
get all that, and then we get the
then we get the
whole.
other half,
Yes,
which
Salva creating this like this game or whatever on Easter Island for all these collectors to show up for, and then we get introduced to all these collectors.
a
Like
bunch of collectors
they just kind
from
of throw them at
around the
us.
world. We
Yeah,
got two of them from America. We got two of them from like big continents, I think.
we get
So
Harry and Debbie,
you
the
got their
East River
names.
siblings. We get Yuri Antov, the destroyer of the Central Three. We get Jason Chrysler, number one collector in America
No,
by
he's
the name
American hero.
Hero.
Yeah,
Oh,
he wears a
yeah.
suit.
And then we get number two collector in America, Hitman KK.
Oh,
And then we get the Lunatics of Mexico,
yes,
Scorpion
I love
Cat
them.
Cassidy, and Sancho's.
I love them. I was
Whew!
like I was like, "We got American tropes," and then they said the from Mexico, the 2, I'm like, "Yes, let's
And
go."
when they showed Cassidy and Sancho, I was just like, it's Ash and Bob. I couldn't
True,
help it.
yeah, yeah, the number 1
Bob.
the number 1 person, collector in America's name is, Jason Chrysler. Fuck yeah. Let's go. It is Ash and Bob. Yeah, because she's like yeah, she has a little cowboy hat, and then he's, like, kinda bigger. Yeah, for sure. But I love the introduction of these characters super quickly. Um, I love that it's like, okay, we're on a mission. We have to do this thing. We call from all over the world. Again, like CZ said, it's showing you the scope of what's going on because um everybody's coming to this Easter Island and we're all gonna do this one point in the world is where uh possibilities are what? How do we how do they
There
explain it?
was the whole thing with he when he revealed his motives to the new Tesla energy, it was something about the fact that there's been an anomaly on Easter Island for like 5 years, and for the first time within the past 5 years, the anomaly is subsiding, and he believes that there are that there's something there for that reason. Something's happening there for that reason, whether it be because of like a coil or something. And the new Tesla energy is like, well, we have private like units to take care of stuff like this. Why don't we just use that? And he's like, I don't trust anybody.
Like,
This
I don't
company
trust
is
you.
like the people in this company killed, this person, they did this, and he's like, whoa, 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 watch your
Yeah,
tone. And he's just
I
like,
I
that's my
love that
reasoning.
I love that trial setup where he's alone and he's the one I feel like he's gonna be a good guy in the end. I mean, if we can boil it down to good or bad, I feel like he is on Mabuchi's side or on some sort of side that's against this whole new Tesla thing, kind of like as well what CZ said. Can we just point out, if we didn't already, the big boss of new Tesla looked like Steve Jobs. Yes, he was wearing the Steve Jobs all black turtleneck with the big glasses.
It did look like Steve
But
Jobs.
I like the whole like trial scene where it had all of them, all the leaders of the different points in the world just there listening to him. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because it makes it feel like like in the real world, sometimes these big companies are a little bit more powerful than like the actual like government. So it
Hmm.
feels like that this is the true power here because they have the power of Dimension W.
Hmm.
New Tesla is the ruling body of the world
They're the
because
ones that
have
own the power grid, the
they
world's
own
power
the
grid.
world's power grid. They own the unlimited possibilities that are folded up into energy of Dimension W. We didn't say also loser is going. Our favorite loser
Loser
is
and
going with her.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, eh, and he's the one that said the thing that it's unlimited energy because of the possibilities turned into energy, and I was like, oh, this is big. Okay, interesting. Loser's back and he's brought his kids with him. um, so they set off. There's this big energy thing that happens. Nobody knows why. This energy sort of has a mind of its own and is targeting men. I don't know. So what happens in episode? Oh, and everybody's going to Easter Island. Mabuchi and Mira, accompanied by Albert, are there. Um, did we talk about the yeah, we did, I guess, talk about the flashback of him and Albert and, him covering his back. I love that. I love that. Like I said, I wanted more Mabuchi and Albert fighting together.
Mhm.
I love
It
that.
even we learned that that is the way the flashback played out. That's basically all Mabuchi can remember. Like, that's how he remembers
Memories
those
block.
events
Yeah.
recounted, because everything from after when the assault started, like, it's just a blur to him until he woke up.
Interesting. And we're gonna figure it out.
So
I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure there's some things there that maybe even Albert knows that he's not revealing to
Yeah.
Mabuchi. There's gonna be something happening there with, like,
Or Albert was
you
the
didn't remember
reason.
happening this happening, but yeah, Albert was the reason maybe. He knocked out Mabuchi for some reason maybe. I don't know.
Worst,
Who knows?
worst, worst case scenario. Mabuchi is the one that killed Miyabi somehow,
If
and
the show does
Albert.
that, F tier. I hate it.
That somehow Miyabi in the surgery process, because they said the surgery was happening at the same
His
time.
past self went to the future to kill her. I'm sorry. I was being silly.
All right, see y'all next time. No, um, but Albert does. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like Albert does know something, and he's like, I've been trying to protect you because I know this happened, and I don't want this. Whatever.
Exactly.
Episode 8, the island that fell into nothing. Leo point. Um, the island that fell into nothingness. What happened in episode 8?
Episode 8, we get to see another short flashback
Oh
sequence.
yeah.
Throw another one in there. In a flashback, we learn to Betsy um, is adopted royalty. Salva to Betsy is adopted royalty. He was not born into the family line that he is a part of. And is basically, as soon as his father was able to actually bear a child, because this child was of blood lineage, the newborn child has now become the new prince. And his father tells Salva to Betsy that as this child's older brother, you should do everything in your power to support him. And it seems, at least, as though Salva doesn't turn sour because of this. It's not like a, oh, this kid took my place type thing. Like he takes this position with intention, and decides that he's going to create the world that Lawai will sit in. So there's that. It gives us all that. The collectors from the crash regroup as Lawai and I'm just going to call her Loss from now on. And Loss are unconscious, as well as I wrote as well as Bob in my notes, but it's
Yeah,
Loser
Sancho.
and Sanchos. Yeah, Loser and Elizabeth land on a separate part of the island, and Lawai's group find a cabin where they lie up while Salva and the rest of them are resting. Salva had a video prepared in case anything happened to him that Lawai runs, that explains why all the collectors are there and how they will still get rewarded even if he is taken out of commission. A robot then attacks the cabin. All the collectors scatter, and Lawai takes care of the robot. Kiyoma, Mabuchi, and Mira come to the aid of two collectors that are under attack by a robot. It's the Harry and Debbie that are under attack, and they save them. And then Harry and Debbie are able to help Kiyoma and Mira find like a tunnel that's going to serve as a shortcut across the island for them to get to their location faster. However, they have to drive through a part of the island designated as the Void, where all coils don't work, and even human life will cease to function after existing in it for so long. So they throttle it through the void and come to the other side, where a bunch of robots are lying in ruin. And as they prepare to continue forward, Loser appears, and the episode ends.
So we get this huge flashback of the Wind of Africa and how he was adopted. That was really cool. Again, a lot of flashbacks this show, or these 4 episodes, and man, do they make you feel for these characters and understand them a little bit better, or question them, because I do question, really, if he's, like you said, as willing to give up the seat to Lawai, because the way they're setting it up in classic anime trope fashion, they're giving it up to show that this kid is too um I don't know, not deserving of the throne. He's a child, and he's kid like, and he's too out there, and not a good leader. And I think that's what they're kind of pushing for him to be. Like, he's just going to be like, somewhere there's going to be a turn where he's like, no, actually I'm doing it for myself. So I feel that coming on, but I also feel like he could be a good, so I'm half and half. I don't know if
That's
you have
how
a
I feel like it's very tricky wording with him saying, "I'm gonna create the world that you will sit in." Like, there's something about that phrasing
yeah,
where, to me, that means he's saying that, like, "Hey, I'm gonna do whatever I want to make this world what I want it to be, and then you can rule the world from your king position of Africa, because guess what? You're gonna rule as a king in Africa, but I am going to create the world. I'm going to
sure.
be the world." That's,
Um,
more encompassing than
yeah,
just Africa. And that's, again, when there's a moment where the king is talking to Betsy, and he's like explaining, like, "Hey, when you see me acting like a kid when I'm at banquets and stuff, that's because I'm interacting with other powers that be, and I'm trying to help achieve balance in this world. I'm trying to help, like, make everything, smooth out. We're trying to make it a better place." Whatever, he kind of explains that there's a reasoning behind him acting goofy and silly when he does, and he's sitting there hearing all this, and he's like, "I simply do not agree with that."
yeah.
He
I
just
think
rejects it.
there's more there for
Yeah.
sure, and
So
I'm
they
feel
they
and
they're setting all that up right
y
there. Then that
sure,
flashback, that
yeah,
sequence is setting a lot up without being completely on the nose about it. And yeah, like you said, it's making me question the true motives of the characters, which is exactly what I think that was trying to make it
for sure.
do. They did it
Uh,
very well.
CZ said, "I don't know if they explained it, and if they did, bad on me for not seeing it, but I love that they just said, 'Nah, we ain't explaining why this video is playing over the entire island. We want it so all the characters are on the same page.'" Um, I think they explained it to where, I mean, the technology can just do that. That his
Probably,
technology
yeah.
can just span out within a couple miles or whatever, and just have it everywhere. But no, they didn't explain it. It was
No, they
like, "Oh,
didn't.
fuck it,
Yeah.
it's everywhere." Because he had the video prepared. Of course, he had it
Yeah.
prepared to do that. Um,
Fail-safe sequence.
so this is really interesting, because we get a lot with Luai and all that, but then we get um some cool moments with Mabuchi fighting and stuff like that. We also saw in the past him using those same things in his war with Grendel
Except
in
they
Easter
were
Island.
coil powered,
They're
and
coil
because they
powered.
were coil powered, they could drill through the
Dr-
shields.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
except
cool.
here, because he didn't have that, he had to, wire, his, needlelings, and then he had a bunch of cables all around the robot, and he tied them up. He's like, "This it's not dexterous enough to free itself, nor is it smart enough to even know that it should." I was like, "Get those
That's
robots!"
yeah. Fuck them up. Yeah.
And I didn't mention it before, but we also get a very small sequence where we see Yuri Antov, destroyer of Central 3, like blasting a bunch of robots, and he takes some cover behind some pillars, and then he just gets a needle to the neck, and falls unconscious. And we see it was Hitman KK that did that to him. And
That no, but that they're not gonna work together.
he pulls open a chest of a bunch of things that look like he's about to, like, operate or something, and then it just
So
cuts away.
so it's the future, right? It's the
Yes.
huge future, and we've already established that Mabuchi still has cash money on him for some reason, and he's one of the only people, and they even mentioned before that he's like super back in the times, but still in that time, 50 million is a lot, and 10, what do they say, 5 times as much as a regular collection. So Mabuchi is making 10 million a collection for the coils. I don't know. Shouldn't that number be a little bit higher? I don't know. I don't know. Because they're going crazy. They're like they're fighting for
Throw
50
any
million.
big number out there over 1,000,000 at me, and I'll accept it as a lot of money.
But okay, but like inflation by 100 years or so. Like, I guess so. I don't know. I just was like, oh, it's only 50 million, but like I know that's still a lot. There should be like a billion, like, I don't know. The ruler of the world should be the ruler of the wind of Africa should be giving out more, you know? I don't know.
Fair.
I don't know.
The
Hello, Cork.
the Wind of Africa, COO of Tower 60 and CEO of robotic production.
Yeah. can give away some more money. I don't know.
I mean,
Corey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Hi,
all
hello.
my money's caught up in investments. Sorry,
Yeah. We're talking
best I
about
can do is
Dimension
five
W,
million.
talking about an anime. uh, but they go okay. So the way it ends is they go into this area, this tunnel,
Through the
um,
void.
through to the void. Um,
We get another
CZ said,
moment from oh
was this $50 million or different currency? I think. Whereas Mabuchi is working with yen. Although, yeah, that gets confusing. Gotcha. It could be a different currency. You're
yep.
right. They
I
just
think
said
they're
50
working with
million.
USD, but before it was yen.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong though.
Well, conversion.
Yeah,
Conversion in the future. Okay, just because, yeah, that just questioned me because, or I just questioned it because we've said before that gas was a really expensive as well. So like everything went up, but I guess gas went up more than what money is
yeah,
currency wise.
because
Anyways,
nobody is investing into gas or anything because of
infinite
coils.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I looked it up and I was pleasantly surprised because, like I said, everything in shows this short means something. So they said the void, they go into the void, or they need to go through there, and the name of the place was Andrastea, and they threw that out, and
Oh, they did.
I
Where
was
I
like,
thought I wrote that down somewhere.
so this, they're like, Mabuchi was
Oh
like the
yeah, they
name,
find Andrastea. Yeah, I
they're like
missed that line.
the name of this area is Andrastea, and I was like, let me look it up. So I looked it up, and it's Greek for means from who you cannot escape or a fate you cannot escape. And I was like, oh, so good. Of course. So a little bit of extra meaning there, which is really nice. I
It's a nice
know.
spice on that one.
Yeah. I just love it. I love that everything means something in a show that's 12 episodes long because they have to, and it's so
Um,
good.
I know you were saying at the start of the hour, like you're kind of unsure how you're feeling and such about the everything overall, but after these episodes, like who's your favorite character so far? Whose story are you just most bought into or intrigued by?
Again, I can't get enough of Mambuchi backstory, and I don't know why. Um, I really don't know why. I think uh because it's I think I don't know. I just Mira being a human and all that stuff, that's fine. Okay. I do want to know what she is or where she's leaning towards on the human slash robot area. But I just see this Mabuchi character so troubled in every single shot of him. He's like frowning or mean or mad. And I just feel so much hurt and pain every time you see him. And while he's good at fighting and all that stuff, that's fine. Um, I just know there's something unlocked in his memories that's gonna be it for him, and either he's gonna go off the deep end or he's gonna be ever eternally happy. And most likely this show's a tragedy. Most likely this show is going to be a tragedy where something sends him off the deep end and it's going to be bad for the character. So I want to know what it is, and I want to get there, and I want to feel all the things with him. So Mabuchi for sure is my guy right now. Who's your person? We met a lot of new characters in these 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Who you liking? Who you enjoying?
I really like Tibetsi and Loai. I really like those two characters, and
Mhm.
I'm very excited to see how their dynamic plays out. But for all the same reasons you said, I'm just Mabuchi. I just want to get more out of him. I just want to see more of his story. And I mean, side note, I want him to stop calling Mira a piece of junk. Whatever.
He calls every but to be fair, he calls
Yes,
every
every robot, everything
every
with a coil is
robot
a piece of junk.
a piece of
Yes,
junk. Yeah.
but it just goes to hand in hand with the whole what is she leaning more towards like human robot whatever the show's going with at that. But yeah, I really like where things have been going with Mabuchi for sure.
Well, we're gonna end our thoughts next week. We're gonna end our Dimension W talk next week, and we're gonna pick a new anime. Again, if you'd like to suggest any anime for us to watch, because we're gonna be picking a new one next week after we talk about episodes 6 through 12, or 9 through 12 of Dimension W, 500 bits in the live chat. Again, you can watch the show on YouTube if you missed any of it. You can watch the full shows on YouTube. It'll probably be up tomorrow. I know we're a day late on this, but it'll probably be up tonight, later tonight, or probably tomorrow morning. So be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch on Spotify as well. Just look up the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. This is our show, and we've been watching a lot of anime. We've done quite a bit here. We've rated a bunch of them here on our scale. We have so many more to go, and it's been so much fun watching so many different anime with y'all. So, Matt, where can they find you when you're not watching and talking about anime?
I'm not watching or talking about anime. You can find me on my Twitch at Matt_Galley. If you'd like, you can follow me on all my socials at it's Matt_Galley. And then I also hang out in the Discord all the time. When we're not here, where can the people find you?
Jules the Human, JULES, the human on Twitch right here. Stream games, play a bunch of different games, Overwatch and Apex Legends, or on YouTube, youtube.com/Jules the Human, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at JULES the human. That's where I'll be. But this has been fun. I'm super excited to see where this goes. Um,
Yeah.
because I'm really enjoying it. I'm just watching it. I mean, again,
How far we've come in just these 8 episodes.
I
Like
love it.
I'm very excited to see what these last 4 hold. Because this one only has 12. So once we watch this is the show. This
This
is
is
not
the
even
end of
just
this.
first impressions. This is Dimension W, our
This is
thoughts.
the end of the story. Yep,
Yeah,
this is where it ends. Probably
nice.
continues on in a manga or something. But yeah, that's it. We're gonna end the show 9 through 12, episode 9 through 12 by next week. Again, this is an anime watch club. So if you watch along, we watch the show for the first time, and we come back here and talk about it. And we discuss it and tell you our thoughts. But um, yeah, next week watch episodes 9 through 12, and we'll pick a new anime. So hope y'all have a good week. Bye.